Hello, welcome to the Pint Patter podcast, where a patter is pish, but our pints aren't. To introduce ourselves, I'm Caden, and I am joined by my co-host, Dino.
Hello. Back again for episode 4 now.
Yes. Got your pint side?
I do. I'm prepared. As always.
Prepared to delve into theories, my lad?
Yes. That's first on the agenda, isn't it?
Yes. And I will start us off by talking about a Jurassic Park theory.
Go on.
It is... You're aware of Owen Grady from Jurassic World, the character that Chris Pratt plays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the theory goes is that Owen Grady from Jurassic World is the kid from the original Jurassic Park movie, the kid that was essentially being schooled by Alan Grant. This is at the very start of the film, when they're in the sort of desert area and they're paleontology is happening. Archaeology, fucking hell. And he's learning a vital lesson in being humble and appreciating dinosaurs, specifically velociraptors. And it would be a nice headcanon for that's why Owen Grady grows up to be the protagonist of Jurassic World. However, there has been a few deniers, such as the child from Jurassic Park denying it. But it makes sense. It'd be a good deal.
Yeah, it would be a nice
It would help because
touch to it.
Owen is infatuated with velociraptors.
Yeah.
The kid was schooled in by Alan Grant because of velociraptors, calling them big chickens. But that's
he puts his hand out to be like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. That's the thing about fan theories is it adds a new element to it when you go to watch these films.
Very similar one to that is in Iron Man 2, when the little kid with the Iron Man mask.
Ah, yes.
And I think they've pretty much confirmed that is Peter Parker. Let's have one of yours.
One of mine. I have, first off, quite a popular one, and it's the whole story of Breaking Bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen, but it has been out a while. The whole that Walter White goes into what was it? Witness protection.
Yeah.
And the idea is that the ending of it, he doesn't actually die, and he goes into witness protection and becomes the dad in Malcolm in the Middle. And there's some small things that people have been trying to pick up on as to why it could be possible, with sort of similar traits and where they're stubborn, and they both got a thing for chemistry.
Yeah.
Just small stuff like that tries to tie it together.
Yeah.
Although with the the film El Camino, it's a bit more dampening onto that whole idea.
Mm-hmm.
But even Bryan Cranston himself said that's such a fantastic fan theory. He loves it himself, and he wish it were true.
Yeah. Then there's another theory with Breaking Bad, isn't there? How it's all connected with the Walking Dead universe because of the car that he drives, that Walter drives, or does he? He buys his son, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's a few things for that.
Ends up driving, yeah.
And I think does the blue crystal meth make an appearance in Walking Dead?
I believe it was Meryl and Daryl conversating between each other, or it was when Daryl was hallucinating.
Very small stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's obviously they're gonna add stuff like that as Easter eggs more than it is headcanon because it's AMC.
Yeah.
It's directing both things. And my other one is a SpongeBob SquarePants one, and it's about the Krusty Krab secret recipe. It actually contains crab meat and Poseidon powder.
I've heard this.
The prior, the prior being a rather dark ingredient, as
Hmm.
Mr. Krabs is literally serving his customers his own species, and the latter being a code name for cocaine, which is probably what makes
Correct.
Cadbury patties so addictive. And it's just, I think there's a lot of things being debunked about this. Like, I think Nickelodeon, was it Nickelodeon at SquarePants, SpongeBob?
Yes, I was
Yeah,
Nickelodeon.
they released a post saying, "Oh, well, this is the recipe," and it doesn't help that instead of crab meat, they put down imitation crab meat, which is still, in essence, like cannibalism for Mr. Krabs, because it's like, oh,
Mm.
it might not be real meat, but it tastes like crab meat.
It adds to it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Just this darkness to an already bright show.
there's a lot of
You know,
theories.
SpongeBob is very bright, but it's one of the sort of main running
Yeah, like,
stories is the secret formula.
mm-hmm,
You know.
Plankton trying to steal it, and I think one of the big backstory episodes has Plankton and Mr. Krabs making the recipe together. And it's just like Plankton wasn't around like to make it, but aye. Moving on from
Yeah.
SpongeBob.
Yeah. So my second one, how we were talking about how Breaking Bad and Walking Dead kind of have ties.
Mm-hmm.
This one is just Walking Dead in itself, and it's the whole that Walking Dead is just a dream in Rick's mind while he's in this coma. So obviously you've got like the start of it being, you know, he gets into like a police shootout, and he's put into this coma, and the start of it is essentially like, you know, he wakes up and there's nobody there, but like he's locked in, and he essentially finds out that all this zombie shit's been going on. So the idea that the entire story is like, how many seasons is there now? Like 9,
Their 10's going to be coming out soon.
10, 10 seasons, and it for all of that to just be in Rick's mind would be the ultimate just what the fuck, you know?
A lot of shows have done that, and
Yeah.
a lot of shows also have this theory. Like Pokemon, for example, is Ash has been in a coma ever since he got hit by those birds in the first episode, and there's a ton of shows that have people be like, "Oh, he's in a coma, he's comatose, it's all a dream."
Would that be a good ending?
To
Or do you think
Walking
it's
Dead,
yeah? Or would it
that'd
just
be
be a bit cheap?
terrible because everything is just meaningless, and it's like a cop out.
Yeah, it
It'd
really
never
is.
be like. Obviously, the comics didn't end that way, but I don't know how the show's gonna end in comparison.
Yeah, I mean the comic's been finished.
I bet.
So they could always like keep going with the show. They could go past that point. Who knows? It really
Could.
depends because they've made some very different changes with
Mhm.
characters and, you know,
Yeah.
small plot points.
Yeah. Yeah. Um.
What's your next?
Another mine is like a very convoluted and very complicated theory that makes a lot of sense, but might just end up being
Mm-hmm.
about Easter eggs. Is the Pixar theory, and
Ah,
it
yeah.
is a massive one, and it's got like a whole video or like a wee website for it that you can go have a read through because there's no way I'm gonna sit here for like 20 minutes
There's
explaining it.
there's a lot of stuff involved in that one, isn't there?
Yes, it's like a massive interconnected piece that believes in all the movies that Pixar have created to have an interweavement between each other, starting with The Good Dinosaur, that's like millions of years prior, and ending with Monsters Inc. As seen with the multitude of movies, like where the mere Easter egg of Pizza Planet is a good laugh, but then you start to think of like by and large with its involvement in the movies being having its biggest impact in Wally, and it's a good read, and you should go check
Mm-hmm.
the guy out who did it. It's John Negroni. I would highly recommend him. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff like notes apparently from uh the couple on Up that sent notes or letters to the Incredibles family. I think there's something like that, or basically there's letters going between families, and you're like, yo, what's going on?
So does it actually involve like all of them, every
Yes,
single
every
film?
single film has a connection to each other.
Man.
There's like one of the theories is that the old witch lady in Brave is actually Boo, because Boo decided that she wants to go find Sully and that, so she's been traveling for years for
It's
the
crazy.
doors. Yeah.
I mind reading all this before because it's not. It must be just like wee Easter eggs that they're putting in because they obviously make a lot
Yeah.
of these.
There's also the
But
fact that Pixar creators also plan movies years before they even go to development. Like Wally was
yeah,
like something thought of in like 2000, and I didn't get a movie until like 8 years later. Good Dinosaur was in development hell for a long
hmm
time.
but yeah, I mind reading up about that, and it's interesting as well because the timeline it takes is out of the order of like how it was released.
Yeah, it's very like the Good Dinosaur is I think it was 2015 or 16 that came out, and it's known to be like the first in the chronological timeline, despite it being like one of the more recent Pixar films. And you have like some Monster Inc. in 2001 or whenever that came out, being like the current timeline
hmm
of Pixar theory. There's a lot of wee bits.
So my next one actually is based off of one of my favorite films, which I mentioned before. It's Ferris Bueller's Day Off
Hmm.
theory, and I think it's kind of a small one in terms of there's not a lot to it.
Hmm.
But it's just simply that the whole of the film is just inside Cameron's head.
Hmm.
So Ferris Bueller himself doesn't exist. It's just either a made up friend or a made up uh, vision of himself. And I can't remember the girl's name, but her being uh, this person that Cameron likes but doesn't have the balls to speak to, you know.
Hmm.
So the whole film, where he does all this and that, and crashes the car and whatnot, it's all just in his head. This story while he's lying in bed, and I haven't seen the film since I've heard that theory, so I think I'll have to go back and watch it again and
Yeah,
just
and
sort of
that
keep
might
that in
some.
mind
Yeah.
because there might be some small things that sort of change the way
Hmm.
you would think about it.
Yeah. Um, it's been a while since I've seen that movie as well, but I think my next theory you haven't really seen the show much. Like you watched a few episodes, you weren't into it. I wouldn't
Yeah.
expect you to. And it's Rick and Morty. There's a Rick and Morty
Mhm.
theory here, and it's evil Morty from episode 12 of the first season is Rick's original Morty. And the theory is that Morty is either abandoned, like shown in the intro, and is treated so poorly he leaves Rick, or he became so smart that he became a threat to Rick, and Rick tried to kill him, leaving his dimension to find the Morty we know now as C-147. And what's interesting about this is that you could easily go, "Oh, well, it's too convoluted. It's just Rick and Morty." But you realize it would explain how he has memories of holding Morty when he was really young, since he apparently abandoned his family years prior to his birth. He was
Hmm.
never there for Morty. It would also explain why he felt so emotional and why he doesn't feel that interconnected to the current Morty. And I just think it's a neat theory. And this is only like has further hints in the future with like the future the later episodes like the Citadel episode with Evil Morty again, and it's just I think it's really cool. There's a lot of like it's a bit like BoJack Horseman in that aspect with Rick and Morty. There's sometimes some really deep meanings and deep emotional scenes, and this theory just adds on to that. I think that wraps me up for my theories. Have you?
So all of your theories, yeah.
That's all my theories. More than 500.
I have one more, and
Mm.
it's also another popular one within Star Wars, and it's the infamous Jar Jar Binks. You've probably heard this one about how he is not this bumbling buffoon that he is portrayed as. This
Yeah,
friendly thing,
yeah.
but he is actually a Sith Lord, and it's sort of similar to that Pixar one. How there's like genuinely a lot of things that people have been sort of pointing to
Mm-hmm.
online, and they've like taken footage of the way he moves and like all sorts of stuff, and like slowed it down and like sort of really pinpointed, what he's doing and how it's all planned. Everything
Mm-hmm.
is planned. I think it's so outrageous.
Wasn't there a point where people were speculating that Snoke was Jar Jar? I do believe that
Yeah.
there was an actual point where people like outrageously like saying, "Oh, Snoke is clearly going to be Jar Jar,"
Mm-hmm.
or he was going to be Samuel L. Jackson's character,
Yeah.
Mace
I mind
Windu.
hearing that. Star Wars is very riddled with fan
Yes,
theories.
it's
It's
because
probably one of the most.
it happens a lot with really popular franchises. Like there was a shit
Mm,
ton of like Marvel theories before it ended, like how Endgame was going to be and what was going to happen.
yeah.
You get that. I don't know if there's any Lord of the Rings. There probably is quite a few Lord of the Rings. I'm stupid to even attempt to think there might not be.
Oh yeah. There
Um,
will be.
that brings us on to more general things, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's the end of theories. So our
Yes.
next wee topic is favorite soundtracks.
Mm.
Have you got any favorite soundtracks?
Well, here's the thing. I had trouble thinking of like soundtracks as a whole for things like games and that. Like,
Okay.
there's like two at most I could think of like fully, which was like
Like.
most of Bleach, something
Mm,
I watched, and the Into the Spider Verse soundtrack. I loved it. It was great, but I realized it's too short of a list to just be those two things. So I thought of like,
yeah.
what about my favorite singular soundtracks in things? So like you'll have like like a separate little like song in a soundtrack that you
Yeah.
like really, and it's like original
One of
for
the
that
tracks
soundtrack.
off of
So
it.
like in Into the Spider Verse, you might have like Biggie Smalls like song in it or whatever his name is. That doesn't count as an original soundtrack. So I thought like might point out some original soundtracks I found personally infatuated with, and I would start off with Bleach's original soundtrack called Treachery, and it's an orchestral soundtrack, and I think I let you listen to it before, and you thought it was
Mm-hmm.
all right. It was pretty good,
Yep.
and I think it really suits like intense battles, intense like blood splatter everywhere. There's death. There's inconsequential like, feelings about what's going to happen. It's really good. It feels like something that'd be maybe in a movie or a more over like a western thing. It's like
Mm.
very holy, holier than thou sounding. It really lets you feel in the moment, and that's why I like Bleach. A lot of Bleach soundtracks are like that, but I think Treachery best suits it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like soundtracks, what makes a good soundtrack is how it weaves into the content of, whether it's a game or a film
Yeah.
or something like that. It's how it weaves into the situations and the actual scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my first one that I've picked is for Modern Warfare 2.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire soundtrack from that, which is composed by the famous Hans Zimmer,
Oh, I
who's
love
done,
Hans Zimmer.
yeah, he's incredible. He's done a ton of stuff, absolute ton of stuff. But yeah, he did both Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3. I can't mind if he did COD 4 as well.
I think he
Did
did
he do?
some of Batman vs Superman.
Mm, yeah, I
I
think he
think
did
he
as that
did
as well.
the Wonder Woman theme, which I've only just remembered was a thing now. Is another soundtrack I really like. The Wonder Woman theme
Oh,
in
really?
Batman vs Superman. The
Yeah, that's great. But the Modern Warfare 2 one always gets me.
Mhm.
It adds a whole new element to the actual gameplay that makes it like just more emotional, to what's happening in the story and the missions that you're being sent on, you know. 'Cause, like there's some missions where you're uh, like running through the favela, for example,
Mhm.
and the music's very like fast paced and all that. It really suits each mission perfectly. And obviously Hans Zimmer, his whole instrumentation is just magnificent. his actual songwriting is magnificent. It just every time I hear the themes, the themes, the actual tracks, it just
Yeah.
sort of blows me away. Especially the main theme and the ending one. It's
It just immerses you.
incredible. It does. It really immerses me. So what other tracks have you got then?
But my other one is a game one, and it's one I really enjoyed. I think I generally do like most of the soundtrack of the game, but this particular uh original soundtrack I have here is Arkham Asylum is the name of it, from Batman Arkham Asylum,
Yeah, yeah.
and it just oozes what it means to be at the Arkham Asylum. It's got this insanity like riddled through it. It's got a bit of like creepiness, unsettlingness, like a bit of like, if it gets you like feeling how Batman must like have this atmosphere around him, how he's got to deal with it. It immerses you in a way like everybody around you is insane, and you have to watch your back at every point. Yeah, and I just think that's why it suits Batman, like especially Arkham City. It doesn't really like come up again in like, Arkham City Origins or Night, but this like it felt very unique as a soundtrack, and it just was really good.
I have one more
Mm.
game choice, and this is an older one,
Mm.
and it's Sonic 2, specifically Sonic 2.
Yes.
Like I enjoyed all of the older ones as well, from Sonic 1 as well and Sonic 3, but the old like Sega games,
Yeah.
because it's very limited in what you can do. With it being it wasn't 16-bit. I don't think it was. It must have been like 64-bit or something like that. But the actual systems, a lot of the music was written to work around the console systems, so they couldn't really add in like all these fancy things. But the general aesthetic of it is very pleasing,
Yeah.
and very nostalgic as well. And Sonic was a game that I grew up playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole soundtrack from Sonic 2, every single level, just hits the right spot, and it very much suits the place that you're at as well
Yeah.
in the game. With Chemical Plant and all
Very
these
like.
places just suits the vibe very much.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
It's very addicting. The between the main melodies and the actual bass lines that are sort of grooved in, like it's all fast paced as well, which is sort of needed in a Sonic game.
And then when you move on to like the likes of 3D Sonic, like with Sonic Adventure
Mm-hmm.
1, and it's got all this like rock music and that stuff in it, it's like a purely different tonal change.
It's
But it still
completely
fits it, I
different.
feel.
Yeah, still fits the pace needed to suit a Sonic game.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, specifically Sonic 2 is there for me.
That's good. Another one of mine is from a movie that came out last year. A very highly anticipated movie. And its predecessor, the first of its kind, the first Avengers film, having, its main theme, got a bit repetitive throughout the film. You know the theme I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was weird. I was like, it was a good theme, but it had it way too many times through the film. But then, last year's edition of Avengers Endgame, you don't really hear it throughout the film at all until the portals with Doctor Strange. And it's the Avengers Endgame OST Portals. And it starts off like all like a nice melody, like it's melancholic, and it's all sort of stuff like that. It's like, oh no, is this Cap gonna do it? Like you feel really immersed, like it's struggling, and then it hits with the big orchestral sounding like bum 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 ba 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 ba, and you just goosebumps every time I see that or hear
It's
it.
huge.
It's huge. It gives you a feeling of an impact. It's like, there's a war. It's very fitting.
Mm.
Very, very fitting. 10 out of 10 soundtrack. It's like a climax soundtrack right there.
Yeah. Well, my first film that I'm including, and I guess you could tie it to both 1 and 2, is Guardians of the Galaxy. And it's an interesting one as well because it's not your basic like you've got an artist who's writing to the film, you know. So they're making music that suits the
Like,
tone of what's happening.
It's like an actual like.
But it's an actual mixtape, and it's obviously mentioned in the film as well. With I think the story being like, he gets handed the this mixtape filled with songs that he used to listen to when he was.
Isn't this only Walkman or Sony?
Yeah. So it's a mixtape which he has in the film, and he carries it throughout and always listens to it, just to sort of bring him this memory of when he was back on Earth. But yeah, the whole mixtape consisting of like some absolute classic songs.
Yeah.
You know, ELO and whatnot.
Like Blue Sky for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, there's
just phenomenal.
There's a lot of really, really good songs involved. And it hits my spot, my soft spot for all that older stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like the classic rock. It really hits the spot for myself. I don't know which one I prefer though, 1 or 2. I think they're both very good.
I remember a lot more songs in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 than I do the first one. I don't know. I think it just depends on your mood and when you watch it, how much you remember. My next one is another game one. It's the last game one I have, and it's Portal 2's OST main theme. Its main theme, and I guess most of the soundtrack in the game is really good. It's very like techno, feels like sort of like a retro like feel to it, and I think Valve does a really good job with having you immerse in this like very calculated, dead like science center where you're the test subjects, and the music just amplifies that by a lot. And that's all that's to say about it. But it's just a really good theme, and it's the theme you're introduced to in Portal 2.
Yeah, Portal was a very good game, and I also enjoyed that soundtrack. But the last one I've got actually is from a Disney film actually, and it's Tron Legacy. This is a special one because they hired Daft Punk to do this, and just the whole Daft Punk really hits the aesthetic that the film goes for. You know, the sort of futuristic vibe, and like all of the writing involved in this. And this is a soundtrack which I've listened to many times, like just the album, you know. And it really just it gets me in such a way because I've loved Daft Punk for such a very long time.
Yeah. You
know, and there's a wee Easter egg where Daft Punk actually appear in the film too.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
Oh.
They end up appearing as DJs in this place, which is a very nice touch. I think it made the film a lot better for me. I guess it's a very controversial film in terms of whether it's good or not. You know, but yeah, it's I enjoyed the film, and a big part of that is because I do like the story. I do like the whole idea of Tron bikes and whatnot, but just Daft Punk being in it and composing the whole soundtrack. Just
Mm-hmm.
So have you got one last one?
I've got one last one, yeah, and it's Game of Thrones soundtrack. The Night King is the name of it,
Mm.
and I don't generally even remember any other music from Game of Thrones. Maybe I just didn't think it was that special, but this one really resonated with me when I was watching it. It was during one of the action-packed episodes, and it's like an 8-minute soundtrack, and it starts off slow. It does this thing. It starts building up more and more. So its melody, its rhythm stays the same, but starts amplifying the
Mm-hmm.
longer it goes, and then it hits a peak at like 6 minutes in, I think, and it starts dropping off again because the way it appeared in the episode had a big impact, a big story point, and the whole 8 minutes of the song playing, the whole point of it was building up to that point in the episode, and the music. I think with all that said, music would have made the scene much worse to the fans. I feel,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's just a really good soundtrack that I listen to time to time, and I don't really like long songs or music. Just
Yeah,
saying something. So that wraps us up with soundtracks, and we can
indeed.
move on to places you'd like to visit. Would you like to start us
Hmm.
off?
Aye, there's a couple of places. I'm not particularly one for traveling anyway,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a few places which I'd like to have sort of in my bucket list. Places to go.
Yeah.
I've got somewhere in Germany, more specifically like one of the hot spots being like Berlin or Munich.
Yeah.
I think one of those two places would be one of the first places I'd want to go abroad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just I very much like the country. The language and the whole like Oktoberfest. All that stuff, and the food over there is it's meant to be very good as well. So it's a place I'd really like to try out and go
Mm-hmm.
exploring. And uh, Germany is very much one for both their like metal
Oh,
and
aye.
their um, electronic music.
Mm-hmm.
So on the whole like festivals side and like clubs and all that, I think that would also be very good to experience over there.
Yeah.
I think I think it's in Berlin. The Berghain. It's a very very popular club, which just I think it runs like all the time, like through the night, just constantly. Um, and yeah, there's tons of big DJs always playing there and whatnot. So to go over there and experience all that would be incredible.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going to
What's
Germany
your
as well. Mine
what's your
is like in general, I'd like to go to Japan. I'd like to go everywhere in Japan, but
mm,
there is a specific place, a nice place called Kyoto, and it is known for its wonderful buildings, absolutely beautiful buildings. The Buddhist temples. There's imperial
mm,
palaces you can visit. Their gardens, the very well kept gardens, beautiful gardens. The Shinto shrines, very like archaic, very ancient like. And then there's traditional wooden housing. It makes you feel like you're like Imperial Japan again. You're like in a very like Edo period, Sengoku period. It's like feels old. It feels traditional, and I've always wanted to go to this place. I'd also like
yeah.
to see sakura trees, so the like cherry blossom trees and stuff.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not sure if it's in Kyoto. Although there'll be some in Kyoto somewhere, but I know it's that Japan's known for their cherry blossom trees, and it's just
Yeah, Japan's a very beautiful place.
I really like their cuisine as well.
Mm.
So it's another reason why I'd like to go.
And it's interesting as well because a lot of people will want to go to just all the popular places.
Mhm.
So I think for a lot of people who would want to go to Japan, like Tokyo
Yeah.
would be the number one spot.
Yeah. It's like a very city-based equivalent to Japan's like tourism.
Mm.
It's very like you got the signs, you got the stuff you walk through it. It's sort of like Japan's own New York, but I
Yeah.
feel like with Kyoto, I want to go there for its traditional feel, its culture. I want to be in great, like embrace it.
Hmm.
Get some bloody ramen on the go.
Yeah, mine's. I've not done like a lot of research into specific places. So,
Hmm.
like, if you were to delve into it, you would be able to find like some really nice places,
Yeah.
that aren't the hotspots, as I was saying. But for just now, because I'm not as uh, well knowledgeable about all these
Hmm.
not so well known places. My next spot is somewhere in Canada, so like maybe Toronto or Ottawa or Vancouver. Just anywhere in Canada. I think
Yeah.
would be just nice to visit. It's nothing too extreme in terms of like, because Japan is a very different culture. Um, so going over there would be quite a shock as well as
Hmm.
an experience. And I think
Like
um,
you have like there's no bins on the streets of Japan,
no,
and you're not really you're frowned upon for eating in public streets as well. They expect you to, when you go to eat, you either stand by like a vending machine or you go to an actual like place, a food place or a vendor.
yeah,
And with the bins, like they're so well looked after, as in like the streets and that anytime somebody has rubbish, they carry on to it until they find a bin inside of like a building.
hmm
That's why it's so clean. It's like a nice culture. It's a cleanly. Very good at cleaning,
yeah,
keeping it tidy.
yeah. So yeah, just somewhere in Canada. I think you see some of the pictures of all these places, and you get like the very nice scenery as well.
It's the nice
Um,
USA.
but and then obviously you get the big cities and whatnot. I think it'll be interesting to try a Tim Hortons over there, because I'm somewhat of a coffee person. I enjoy my
Mm-hmm.
coffees,
No,
and although there's Tim Hortons over here,
get some Dunkin'
and
Donuts.
yeah, I've been to Tim Hortons down in like Glasgow,
Mm-hmm.
um, but to try it in Canada, because they must do it differently, similar to how like a McDonald's or Burger King
Oh my god,
is
yeah.
way different here in the UK to in America. It's like way more fatty over there.
Oh, I.
So I think it'd be a sort of similar vibe really anywhere you go. Is that
Oh
the
yeah.
the food and the chains would be slightly different. So I'd love to try a coffee at Tim Hortons over there.
Mm-hmm.
What else have you got?
I've got a more point of interest here. Is in Rome. There's Pompeii, the city Pompeii.
Ah,
A
yes.
place I'd like to visit because of its tragic nature of what happened to its people. Essentially becoming a just becoming makeshift statuettes.
Hmm.
You just look around and they're all like um, statues basically because of the volcanic eruption that occurred
Yeah.
many years prior. Is now a lifeless city. I don't think anybody like occupies the place unless it's for tourism.
No. It's a very infamous location,
Yeah,
but iconic.
I know a few fictional pieces that have based their story pieces after Pompeii, and then we've got like Doctor Who as well that has a
Yeah.
episode based. Funnily enough, with Peter Capaldi as a side character.
Yeah. That was an interesting uh, thing to watch. That whole episode, I think, was very, because it was a David Tennant episode, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So having Peter Capaldi being just one of the one of the people of Pompeii, to then later on becoming the Doctor himself.
Yeah. Another place from yourself, my dude.
Um, well, this is my last one. I got.
Mm.
There's a couple of places that I've got, but like these sort of three locations, Germany, Canada, and my next one is Hawaii, are
Mm.
sort of the ones that I've had in my mind the longest. You know,
Yeah.
um, I think Hawaii just sort of has that massive holiday vibe, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
this,
Like a vacation.
this, yeah, just a good,
Luau.
popular vacation. If you can go over and like go on the beaches and just the whole uh, way of things over there sort of interests me a bit.
Mm.
And also, there's a wee tie as to why I'd like to go to Hawaii, being that fucking back in the day when I used to play uh, Tony Hawk's Underground.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it was Tony Hawk's Underground 1, and part of that story they actually go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So because of that as well, that like small tie sort of makes me a bit interested in Hawaii.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
Well, as for my final one, I want to go to Benidorm. I'm joking.
Well,
Um,
Benidorm with the lads, is it?
Benidorm and the lads, open bar. No, mine is Venice or Venice. If I'm probably butchering that word.
Venice, I think it
Is
is,
in
yeah.
Italy. Is a rather
Or
simple
Venice.
choice, as it's a lovely place to view and to be in. Generally,
Mm-hmm.
the way or travel and the rivers going through it is a delightful sight as well. It'd be like a good experience.
Yeah. Yeah, Italy's very nice, especially like all the buildings and that.
Oh, why? Well, there wasn't much to say with that. As I said, it's very much based on sights and an experience. So
Mm-hmm.
that will end us on our topic of places we'd like to visit and moves us
Mm.
on to brand loyalty.
Our last topic of the
Yes.
episode. Do you want me to start, or will you start?
I'll start. I'll start, my man.
Go on.
I'm gonna start strong with my most loyal brand. My favorite is Pepsi Max. It's my life liquid.
Yes.
It runs through my veins. I'm like Popeye with
Always
spinach,
consuming
but
it.
anytime I need energy, I just squeeze a bottle of Pepsi and it flies into the air and lands in my mouth.
Oh my.
But aye, Pepsi
That.
Max always. It's been a fan. I never liked original Pepsi. I don't like Diet Pepsi. I don't like Coca Cola. I don't like Diet Coke. I like Coke Zero slightly, but other than that, I
Hmm.
don't really like cola. But there's something about
No.
Pepsi Max. A lot of people say it's sweeter, and I think I can agree with it. But I think it's at its
Yeah.
best when it's cold.
100%.
100% when it's at its cold.
100%.
Either in a glass or a tin.
Yeah.
Pepsi Max
I
is my main mixer for spirits.
It is like even then you'd be trying to pick the Pepsi Max over the rest, and it makes a difference too in
Oh,
a
aye.
drink.
It
A
really
lot of times it
does.
makes it taste better.
Like for me,
Pepsi.
Coca Cola, like all brands of Coca Cola to me, to like have this rusty taste to them, and I just don't like it.
Hmm. I very much
There's
enjoy cola,
Dr Pepper's
as
cola,
does
isn't it?
many. Yes.
I was quite like that. But no, no, I can go away. Pepsi Max all the way. I also
You're
really
loyal.
like its
You're loyal.
I always like its like design as well. It's really
Mm-hmm.
nice, sleek. How about yourself?
Well, I'm going to counter your Pepsi Max with a drink of my choice, and that's Iron Brew.
Okay,
Very popular drink in Scotland.
hangover cure
And
for many.
oh yeah, definitely. I always have it. I'll always buy it, and I have done since I was a wee a wee tod.
A wee lad
Always a wee lad drinking Iron Brew.
on
Constantly
the
buying
coach
the
list.
tins.
A wee
And
lad.
that's the thing just about Iron Brew is I enjoy the regular, the diet, and the recently introduced what was it called?
Is
Have
it
I
not
forgotten its
gingerbread
name?
or ginger, or is
No.
it
The
original?
extra, that's it.
Oh,
Iron Brew extra.
yes.
And I know recently because of the whole sugar tax thing, and a lot of companies um, taking away a lot of the sugar content in their drinks. Between fucking Coke, Iron Brew, Lucozade, tons of these brands doing it. So a lot of them don't taste the same. They don't taste the way they
Yeah.
used to, as everyone's talking about, And a lot of people just constantly hating on it and being like, "Oh, it's disgusting. No, nah, I could never have it. Nah, none of this." But generally, for me, I still thoroughly enjoy it. I think with Lucozade Orange, I could tell the difference. I could tell there's a drastic difference between the previous full sugar to
Yeah.
the lack of. To the point where, like back in the day, I used to drink Lucozade Orange, and I preferred that to the original. But now it's the opposite way around since the sugar cut. I prefer the original. But yeah, Iron Brew I've stood by for a long time, and I will stand by it for many more.
It's almost like a Scottish tradition at this point.
It is.
I get bellowed at just for saying I don't like it. I don't mind it. It's just not my thing.
Not your choice.
Like, I wouldn't choose to drink it if someone gave it to me, but if I was thirsty and it was the only thing there, by God, am I gonna tan it? My next one's a bit of an unhealthy choice, but it's normally my like junk food on like a random weekend, or if I'm planning to go out and I come home for food, is KFC. Quite loyal to it because I'm a chicken person. I like poultry a lot, food wise. Yeah. I have my own like my wee membership card. Got my app that I get like a $5 off every so often and stuff. That just proves my loyalty, to be honest. Having a wee membership card.
I mean, you're not one for beef, are you?
No, not one for most meats, really. It's just chicken
But
and sometimes
it's
bacon.
just chicken. Ooh, yeah.
Don't really like pork otherwise.
So there's a lot of things on that KFC menu that would.
Yeah, it's probably why it gets me. Also, they also serve Pepsi Max, so that's another loyalty boost for me.
They do.
But mainly I go for the spicy stuff because I really like hot wings. I love their hot wings. It's like 71 calories per wing, so it's not too bad if you want a few. I like their supercharger sauce. That's quite unhealthy though. It's like their wee 30 ml packet. It's like 150 calories just for that, which is mad, but it's delicious. I don't have it often. Then there's their zinger burgers like that, and it's like the spicy fillets and that. And they sometimes bring over deals like the Texas Devil barbecue stuff, and like that's really spicy. I quite like that stuff.
Do love a bit of spice though.
Do love it. That's about it for KFC. It's just chicken.
Yeah, just chicken. My second choice is a bit of a split between two brands, and it's to do with shoes. So since I was wee, I've had an interest in skating, right?
Yeah.
So my two brand choices of shoes are Etnies and DC, right? Both very very popular choices within the skate community. They're very popular skate branded shoes. So a lot of people who do skate will pick these. And it's the same for like Vans as well, or there's certain Nike shoes as well. And they've got like a sort of similar style to them. And I've just always had an interest in those type of shoes. I don't know what it is, but I really like them. I really like the design.
Yeah.
And there was a wee phase back in the day. And I got quite a few people who would have done this and were wearing like high tops. But even when I wore high tops for like a couple of years, it was Etnies and DC as well. So I've just always stuck by those two brands, really. Etnies more so, I think. I think I've owned more pairs of Etnies. So yeah, it's just those are the brands that I'm comfortable with. They last long for me. Last very long. They're very comfortable, and they're stylish.
It's definitely something to think about because I don't really I don't really have any shoe brands. I don't even think I have a specific brand that I don't even know the brand of my
No,
own shoes because before like recently I didn't even know what any's were.
not much of a shoe person.
No, much like cars. I don't know much about cars.
Hmm.
I do not now more than I used to. But
So you're not gonna have a car brand as your loyalty, are you?
no.
What
But
is it? What's your next?
something you shouldn't do with cars is mine's an alcoholic beverage. It is Absolute Vodka, and it's not specifically the brand Absolute Vodka as so much it
Hmm.
is it's vanilla brand.
Oh, the
So
vanilla variant.
Absolute Vanilla Vodka, and it's my preferred drink. It's my favorite drink now because I've always been a big fan of vanilla. So
Mm.
having that and vodka in my mixer, so it's a more like strong version of like spiced rum. It's more vanilla like than spiced rum because I used to be a rum person. I probably still am, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that I prefer the absolute vanilla, and that's what I'll be drinking when I next go camping. Which will
Yes.
bring me into another one of my loyalties later.
Hmm. Well, so your preference of drink is that absolute vanilla vodka. My
Yeah,
drink preference is Captain Morgan's, and yeah, I've been drinking Morgan's for oh, uh, as many years as I have been legal to drink. Totally didn't drink beforehand because that's not good. But
it's illegal, mate. You can't
yeah,
do that.
nah, I can't do that. But Captain Morgan's, yeah, that's just there's something about that. I do quite like rum in general, but spiced rum just
Yeah.
tastes very nice. Especially when you get like a cola mixer,
Oh,
you know,
because you've got the likes
mixing
like
it with
dark rum and white rum. There's so much rum
yeah,
to choose from. It's a bit like
but
gin.
spiced.
Spices like
Spiced
that.
is top dog for me.
Spiced
Oh, I'm
rum.
always like there's times where I'll try different drinks. You know, I'll try these
I would love to
different
try a
rums
lot of
or
different drinks.
even vodkas. You know,
Mhm.
I've delved into different things, but I'm always going back to my number one, Captain Morgan's.
Mhm.
You know, I had a wee spell where I was into Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
Still enjoy Jack Daniels, but it's not number one.
Ah.
It's not number one.
Yeah.
I'm loyal to my Captain Morgan's.
Yeah.
So what were you saying ties into your next one?
Well, my next one is a Scottish festival, Scottish music festival called Belladrum, and
Alright.
as of the pandemic, it was cancelled. Although I think well, a lot of us that used to go, probably including yourself,
Yeah.
the flame's been like dwindling. It's been diminishing. Like we've been going for like over about
Yeah.
10 years and more, and
It's been a long time.
I still have my flame lit. Like it's flaming. It's out of control.
Soaring.
It's soaring because I like camping that much. It's a once a year thing I get to do is camp, but other
Hmm.
people don't feel it's great for that because you're paying a lot of money for a ticket to either sit around the camp
Yeah.
to drink, surrounded by a lot of stupid noises, drunkards,
Hmm.
druggies, and then when you go into the arena, it might rain, it might be horrible, the
Hmm.
music might be trash. So it's but to me, it's worth the money. To be fair, I get my ticket bought for me, but it's just a really great experience, which is why I'm loving the fact that we're gonna be camping. We're gonna go camping soon, or
Hmm.
sooner or later.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it's a music festival,
Yeah,
and the main aspects that sort of get us keep going, like every year, it has been an annual thing, um, and I think what gets us in is genuinely the social aspect of people all getting together. You know, some people that you might not see so often as well.
yeah.
So all getting together for this once a year thing
Once a
and
year, 3 day
camping
bender.
together, drinking. Yeah, exactly. It's like an escape from reality. You just go into the campsite and that's it. You're in a whole different world of drinking.
Uh,
And I always find at festivals you can drink a lot more than you normally. There's something about that festival air.
I think generally when you're drinking whatever's in public, especially outside, when the heat's
Yeah.
on you, you're like, I need a drink. Of course, then when it gets to night time and your drinks went from like warm to like freezing, it's everything like changes in a matter of hours when you're at a
Mm,
festival like that. I tend to also have the best sleeps. It's a very weird thing.
yeah.
I don't normally have the ability to sleep
You
when I'm
sleep well when
drunk.
you camp.
I sleep really well when I camp. I'll like have my back. Like as long as I've got stuff to cover me and a pillow, I will
Hmm.
fall dead asleep. Opposed to now, where I'll go into my bed at like 4 a.m. and I'm looking at the ceiling wide awake. Normally when I'm drunk, I can't even. It's even worse. But with like camping, I just going to sleep is really easy. The only pain in the arse is having to get up
Hmm.
in the middle of
So
the
it just
night.
adds it.
Just that's it. Like in the middle of the night, having to get up to go to the pisser. Like 9 miles away, I
I
have to
know.
put all my clothes back on.
God. My next brand loyalty is it's a deodorant actually, and
Mm.
it's Old Spice. Tis yeah, Old Spice. I've used for quite a while now. I can't remember why I just keep buying them. Apart from well, obviously they do smell very nice. I do like them. Um, like I don't know how it started is what I mean. Like I think can't mind what the first um bottle I had. But I mind having one. I thought oh, this smells really good. I like this. And
Mhm.
like going in shops and stuff, and sometimes you might end up going down that aisle. So you'll see like some of the other bottles. I mind they had three different ones. It was like bear tooth. It might have been bear tooth, wolf horn, and something else. Um, and I mind picking up. I think it's the wolf horn one, or maybe it was the bear one. I can't quite remember, but I mind picking up one of them and think, oh, that's actually really good.
Mhm.
So I think since then I've always just gone for Old Spice. I think all of them generally have a nice smell to them. So it's just my deodorant of choice,
Yeah.
really.
Apart
So whenever
from,
I start running out, I'll just pick out a bottle of Old Spice.
I don't really have a brand for that. Like, the only reason I
Yeah.
use deodorant in general is obviously to deodor me. If like
Hmm.
or antiperspirant if I don't want any sweat to be happening later in the day. And honestly, I hate the smell of every single deodorant I've ever had or smelled off somebody else, and I don't get masking yourself with such a awful smell. I've always
Nah.
had a disdain for smells and tastes, so that may be why.
Yeah.
Even perfume sometimes becomes too intoxicating for me when I smell it on other people. So I just
Some of them
stick
are a
to a
bit
cheap brand.
bleh. Yeah. What's
My
next one?
last one
Your last one?
is yeah, my last one is DC or Detective Comics or DC Comics, which is Detective
Yes.
Comics, because you know that's a fantastic brand name. But as I've always preferred it over the likes of Marvel, even though I was exposed to Marvel earlier. But I just found DC to be more enthralling, more just had better themes. Like a lot of people confuse DC for only being dark, and that's the movie's fault for that. In fact, I've noticed that
Yeah.
there can be a lot more goofy things, if not sillier things, in DC than there ever will be in Marvel at points. Like I'm not saying there's definitely equal parts. Like you got Superman, and you think, oh, he's unbeatable. You can't do anything. But then you bring in a character called Mister Mixelpix or whatever his name is. It's a really weird name to pronounce, and the whole gimmick with that is Superman's all powerful, but we brought in a new character who acts as a guise to that. He is omnipotent and he can do anything. But the gimmick is that he has to say his name backwards to send him back to his dimension because he's like a fifth dimensional elf. And he's a really weird looking thing. He's like a weird small looking person. So the whole
Hmm.
idea with him having that villain is that Superman's not always brawn. It's always about the story. It's never just about, oh, he's powerful. So Superman has to outthink this fifth dimensional being. But he's a silly looking character. You've got like Plastic Man. I really like Plastic Man. He's funny. He's like DC's equivalent of the funny character like Deadpool and that. Really like him. But then you've got like darker characters like Batman. You've got much more like uh in the darkness with Joker, Penguin, all these like criminals, insane criminals. Like it's such a diverse universe, and I wish there was a lot more stuff they would like introduce into movies. Like, look at the success of Aquaman, Wonder Woman, and Shazam. They're all three detrimentally different films. Aquaman being
Hmm.
more campy, like the old Aquaman with its like look and aesthetics. Wonder Woman being based in the past, having a more like World War like look to it and how she interacts with new things. It's a bit
Hmm.
dark, but then you have Shazam, which it has dark themes in it. It has dark things happening. It's a phenomenal film. It does really well, integrating
Shazam,
what
fantastic.
a child's mind into a grown man's godly body. And I just think DC could do so much better than this if they continue churning out these like diverse films. Have Batman, have Superman, have these good stories, have Wonder Woman, have Plastic Man come in, have bloody Blue Beetle, have Booster Gold. That would be a good one. There's a lot of characters to choose from that they don't. Green Lantern's a really good one. It's all about like willpower and that, and there's a lot of like it's really flashy.
Hmm.
It's just a really good universe I like.
It's very good.
It just doesn't have quite the representation it needs in the past for movies.
Yeah,
Though its TV shows were phenomenal, it like put Marvel TV shows in the dirt. But aye,
definitely.
loyal,
You're holding out though for
yeah,
the big films.
the big films. Unlike Justice League, that shambles,
It was rushed. I think
very rushed.
that was part of its problem.
A lot of characterization in the film was god awful. It was Josh Whedon that took over for the rest of the film,
Hmm.
I think. But aye, that's me done with all my brand loyalties.
That's you. Well, the last thing I have, and it's actually quite a controversial one, I guess. Um, in terms of brands, and it's iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
There's always the big iPhone versus Android debates, and oh, this one's better, and just all these points. But I'm not. I don't really care too much about all that facts and whatnot. Yeah, sure that you'll have different phones that are better than whatnot, but I've always been loyal to iPhone, and I've always enjoyed, the operating system and um, the way it looks, the aesthetics,
Mm-hmm.
So I've just stuck by them, and it does. The thing is, it does everything that I need it to do. I don't
Yeah.
care about it being a bit faster or whatnot. It does what it does, and that's all I need really. So I've had iPhone. I've stuck with iPhone since the 3G. So very very long ago, I've had iPhones. I think before that, it was like one of those brick phones I had. It was like a Sony Ericsson
Mm.
wee thing that had like the actual keyboard thing on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, since the iPhone 3, I've stuck by it and just gotten an iPhone as they're going. But like I'll be one or two behind the the current one that's out. So I can't mind if it's the iPhone 11 or the 12 that's currently out.
I haven't got a
Um,
clue, mate.
I can't mind what's currently new, but because they are expensive, and that's one of the
Mm.
downfalls to iPhones is their price. But still, I've been loyal, and I've still got an iPhone to this day.
And
You know.
then there's me, which the only phones I've ever had. I've never bought a phone. All my phones have been hand me downs, and they're quite expensive phones as well. So I don't really have a brand I stick
Yeah,
with. It just depends on what my brother gives me. Like, I've
Indeed.
never found a use for a phone because I don't really get phone much. But I still
Yeah.
need to have a phone, so I just use a phone for its functionality of getting
Yeah.
phoned in case I get phoned.
And texts and
And
whatnot.
text, yeah. And
And obviously those awkward situations where you're like, what do I do? Let me just whip out my phone.
oh, I. Then there's a mate of ours that was at Belgium, I think last year, and it was quite funny.
Oh my
If I
god.
don't know, you weren't there for quite a bit of it, but there was a running joke about one of our mates' phones,
I
and
know the story.
uh, and just how inferior it was, how old it was. It was a Nokia, not a Nokia-esque phone, but it was like a flip phone, I think it was. And there was a
Mhm.
point where I don't know if it was ever thrown, but there was a threatening aura from my brother who grabbed his phone, took the SIM out, and was going to chuck it into the marsh or whatnot to let it like stay buried forever where it should belong.
Yeah, because didn't he buy it? He bought it
He bought it specifically for Belgium.
specifically for Belgium. And it was a shit piece.
It was a
And I
shit
don't think it
piece.
worked, did it?
No, it didn't really work. It didn't pick up signal or that.
Oh,
It
it's
was just
amazing.
funny taking the piss out of him for that. It's great. It's all good and fun though.
Alright, well that finishes the whole episode.
It does.
Nothing more to say apart
Nothing more to
from
say. Looking
thanks for
for
listening.
yeah.
And
That's
goodbye.
yeah. Goodbye.